Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that. Looks like we had a great turnout for this second session here. Please, if you don't mind, there is a question toolbar there. Go ahead and submit your questions there. If I can answer them during the presentation, I absolutely will do so. If not, I'll have all the questions towards the end. Today's webinar will be roughly 25-30 minutes in length. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. If you don't know who I am Ted Stewart. I am the Program Development and Compliance Manager for Exida. I have a little over 10 years of experience, actually probably a lot more than that now. This slide's a little old, but yeah, so I started my career with Lockheed Martin in Missiles and Fire Control. I was a test engineer. I then switched over to Harris Corporation in sunny Florida, where I managed 14 different classified products that could essentially locate and track people. So we had a lot of fun. And then about 7 years ago, I transferred over to Exida, where now I get to wear a lot of different hats. As you can see, I'm responsible and I help with new product development within OEM functional safety and user, cybersecurity, automotive, machinery, robotics, and of course, railway. So yeah, like I said, stay really busy. So it's a lot of fun. We are a global company. We have offices around the world. Every year, it seems as though a little Exida triangle pops up on our map. By the end of this year, there should be another one as well. Stay tuned. We can't announce anything just yet, but man, we're growing really fast. We are a customer-focused company. We're the only company that encompasses that complete life cycle of functional safety and cybersecurity, which kind of makes us a very unique organization. And then besides that, we are also employee owned. I'm not sure if many people realize that, but I think that's one of the hidden secrets, because the harder we work, the more we work, the better Exida does. We benefit, everybody benefits from it. And so now we have over 100 global engineers, 1,000 certification and assessment projects have been completed, and we've modeled over 500,000 CFSs. And I think this data was actually from 2018. So we've surpassed that as well. Excellencia, real quickly on our tools, and then I'll jump right into our presentation here. It has become the most widely used tool globally in our industry. Really, this slide is, I just want to personally thank everybody who has given us feedback, who uses this tool, because all of that advice that we are receiving plays a big part into improvements of this tool, because as user-friendly and as useful as we can make it, the better off everyone is. How Excellencia works, it's now broken down into different modules. It's kind of a suite that integrates the entire life cycle. So if you're in the PHA phase, if you're trying to do an SRS, if you're working even with your SIL alarm information, this tool has a module to help you in that phase. And it's really nice because it always saves your information. So you never start from scratch. You always have something to work with to save on that time. Everything we do, we're an open book. This is one thing that we differ from all of our competitors. There is no secrets within Exida. Truly, if you read all the books, understood them, and spent hours researching through them, you could probably do what we do. And in fact, we actually teach you to do what we do. And why? It's not for us to lose our jobs, but it's reality so that we can start moving on to the next level of safety, because as everyone knows here, even within cybersecurity, it's always changing. So the faster you learn, the faster we can spend time doing other things. All right, as far as our track record goes, in 20 short years, we've actually emerged as the leader in safety device certifications as well as logic solvers. So thank you all who have trusted us, and in cybersecurity, we're doing even better. I kind of think that's only because we've all had the same starting point. All certifying bodies have all been working towards the same standards. And yeah, it's been a good ride. Okay, so thank you. I really want to get into today's discussion. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're receiving a lot of emails from people really I guess, really concerned with the future of their certification programs. Not, of course, not with Exida's, but with other agencies. There's restructuring going on, but none of that's going on here at Exida. And so what we decided is, of these tens of hundreds of people that have requested and asked us, we said, hey, you know what? Let's put a solution together. Let's help them out, and let's put a path forward so that we can just move on beyond this and keep focusing on what really matters. And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. I'll discuss what that uncertainty is. I'll share with people the information behind these certification programs, and then what our next steps are and possible solutions. And I see the questions already flowing in, so thank you so much. Keep them coming, and I'll answer all those towards the end here. All right, so this was the abstract. This is what got everybody here today, and this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how we feel that these personnel certification and certificate programs are bigger decisions than people may realize. It actually labels and brands you into a core group of people. How we look at it here at the CFSE program is really, when you become and you take this type of an exam, you became part of this family. We have social media outlets. We have all these different groups that you can come together now and get all your questions answered, help answer different questions, and it's a really great atmosphere. So that's why we're kind of looking at this as, hey, you know, how can we help people that are in a situation where they kind of lost that part, they lost that family aspect, or the certifying body. I mean, maybe they'll drop their program, who knows? And so we're here to offer that solution, and that's kind of the reason for this webinar. What happened? Well, this is the most common one that we've seen so far that people are sharing with us. Basically, the validity of people's certificate when they're now becoming expired. There's now an uncertainty if they're going to cancel the program completely, if they're going to do a restructure. But what we were told is by the end of September, so last month, they were going to make some decisions. And I believe some of those decisions have been made, where everybody now that's in this situation, if you're an FS Eng or an FS expert, I believe even, you are going to have to redo everything. You're going to have to redo your training class. You're going to have to redo your exam. So if you haven't gotten this message yet, you will, because that is the step forward. And so we said, oh, well, look, you know, why don't we help those out? Let's figure out a different solution so that they don't have to go through this again. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. We're going to talk about bridging that gap, overcoming this uncertainty, and really see if I can't help answer all of your different questions. Let me take a minute to breathe here. I know I'm talking a little fast, so I do apologize. I kind of get excited and I get passionate about this sort of work. Okay, so there are levels of competency. Let's go do a little quick background, and then I'll share with everybody the solutions, right? So let's first learn about the different programs, see where you fit, and then we can put together a solution and discuss those items. So there's 3 levels of competency, right? You have your entry level, you have more of an entry level with experience, you have the upper competency level, and I blend that in with the mentor level, right? You can see the different lines there. So the first level, the entry level, the exida FSP or that TUV FS Eng. Really, this level is that entry where people, and when I say entry, let me clarify, I don't mean in a bad way, right? It just means, hey, look, my role right now doesn't require me to be that leader. Maybe I have myself where I'm working with the safety system, or I'm a manufacturer and I'm involved with these things called SIL products, and or maybe I'm in cybersecurity and I have to understand what zoned and conduits are, and I have to understand where my IT team has to now cooperate with my OT team, and within my industrial control system. So maybe you just have to have that base knowledge, and that's exactly what this tier is for. This is for those people that just need that fundamental knowledge. They need to provide proof of competency that they do understand it. So why? Maybe it's job security, maybe it's for a role or position, but this is where that all starts. This is your exida FSP, your TUV Eng, right? So if you're a TUV FS Eng, and you might be telling yourself, why am I so low? I feel like I'm an expert, so that's what this presentation is going to do. It's going to be, let's get you to where you feel you are, where you deserve to be, and then we can provide that level of knowledge and get you there, right? So the next level here, We don't have a program for this because we don't necessarily, well, we just don't have one, right? Let's keep everything at a good level here. So if you want to be a TUV FS expert, right? At this level, it's still a certificate program, and I'll explain what the differences are here momentarily. But if you're at a certificate level, what that means is it's the same thing as an exida FSP or a TUV FS Eng, except you do need 10 years of work experience, and then what you also need is you're going to now need to have an acceptance or an approval from TUV. There is no exam, so once you pass that training exam, you essentially, and then you have the work experience, you're essentially qualified to become an expert just by just doing that. However, what TUV also says is they must approve you. So they might say, no, you need to grow a little bit. Actually, maybe you need to hang out with this board, and this board will teach you more concepts. And then once you go through and you understand their teaching, then we'll allow you to be an expert. It's kind of a judgment thing, as I understand it. If you are a TUV expert on this webinar today, if I say something incorrectly, please correct me. And in my answer key that I give out to everybody, I will make all those changes. But that's how I understand it. And so that's that level. But then when you get up to the certification, things change, right? In a certification, it's slightly different, where training is not required anymore. And why I say training is not required is because these are people. So if you want to become a CFSP, if you want to become a CFSE, which is a certified functional safety expert, don't get that confused with the other programs out there. There is only one CFSE and CFSP. But what these are is, when I say training is not required, it's because the exam is not based off that training. And when I say it's not based off that training, I mean when you can take trainings if it helps you. However, these exams are based off of industry standards and industry knowledge in the field. So the questions are generated through life lessons, like learning lessons, and what you physically see out there. It's not based off of, hey, slide 17 gives you the answer. Nah, that's not what this is. And so when people become a CFSE or a CFSP, it really makes that mentor or leader type of aspect. So another example here is we have people coming to us saying, hey, look, my job now, if I want this position in this company, I must be a CFSP at the very minimum. Right, my TUV FS expert or my TUV FS Eng was not good enough. I have to get a certification, and we get that a lot. And this is the route you need to go. And the difference between the CFSP and CFSE, or to keep it short, are the work experience. Right, you need more experience if you want to become a CFSE, but then the exam is also much more robust. All right, it's a 6-hour exam compared to a 4-hour exam. And if you want more of those details, I'll give you my contact information at the end, and feel free to keep asking those questions. And we have some fantastic, phenomenal administrators here for the CFSE program, and they're very responsive and can get back to you on that as well, if I don't. Okay, so here we go. Now you kind of learned about the programs a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna let me quickly tie into this slide here real quick, and I'll jump back. But the difference between a certificate and the certification, because I already touched on it a little bit, but there are people who really want the simplicity and ease of a simple certificate program, where this is like limited experience, where it gives you this limited evidence of competency. It's sufficient around most areas around the world. There are results from an educational process, and for newcomers and even experienced professional, it really indicates that you've completed a series of courses and you pass an exam based off of that course material. Okay, it's not based off of industry knowledge. It's not based off of a standard. A certificate program is truly, hey, I took this 4-day course. At the end of the 4-day course, I was able to pass a 20 or 50 question exam, whatever the length of the exam may be. And that's my proof. That's my competency. A certification, the biggest difference is what? No training's required. You take that 60, 80, 100 question exam for CFSE. You know, I believe it's 60 multiple choice questions and then about 40 some odd points of short answers and case studies. And you know, you get 6 hours to complete that in 2 different sessions. And that's the main difference there, is between certificate and certification. So if you are a leader, if you are a mentor, you're a TV expert, and you're in this situation right now, I suggest you talk to our admins and sit for the CFSP or CFSE so that you can keep that strong title. Yeah, let's go to this slide and then I'll jump back here. But this is just to reiterate what I was informing everyone about. There are different programs out there, right? Today, I was just really mentioning the situation at hand, where the organization's going through a restructure. It seems as though they're going to keep their program, but still not sure. I don't know. But so there's CFSE, there's ISA, there's TV Rhineland, TV SUD, and of course, exida has its own certificate programs. If I highlight the blue area, you can see those are all certificate programs. The green for CFSE, that's the only certificate program for 61508 and IEC 62443 for certification for cybersecurity. Sorry. And yeah, you can see even when the origination date. So CFSE has been around since 2000. The next would be TV Rhineland in 2004, and then 2008 and so forth. All the other programs started coming out. And yeah, so let's go back here. So how do you bridge in, right? How do you close this gap? So if you're in this situation that we explained, you got a couple options, and I put two out there. We can probably get creative and think of more options, but if you're in the first one, option one, basically what this is saying is, look, I'm in a certificate program. Let me switch over to the other certificate program. Okay, if you're an FS Eng, FS Expert, you want to just switch over to an FSP. Same thing, right? They're just different acronyms. All you'll have to do is you take a training course and you pass the exam. Same exact thing that you have to do anyways. Okay. The benefit though is if you switch and you do the FSP, you pass the FSP, right? You get your certificate. Then based off of that training in that FSP, it kind of shares with you where your strengths are and where your weaknesses lie. What that is so important for is then when you are ready to take the FSP or CFSP or CFSE, you now know where you should be studying so that when you jump into this exam, right, with your industry knowledge, with your different standards, you kind of have an understanding of where you need to be studying prior to jumping into this exam. So kind of like, you know, the CFSP and CFSE was set up just like the PE for engineering, where it's open book, you can bring in resources. It's the same exact thing, and there's courses out there that help you understand and learn where some of your weaknesses lie. And that's exactly what the FSP does for people. So a lot of people take that FSP. No, it's not required. Training is not required, but they take it only to make sure that they increase their chances of passing the CFSP and CFSE on their first, second, or maybe even third try. And so that's option one. Option two is, look, you don't have to take a step-by-step approach. I know with TV Eng and TV Expert, you have to be an Eng before you can be an expert, from what I understand. Here you don't. If you have 0 titles, you can go straight into being a CFSP or CFSE. Why? Because there's no other requirements. It's simply based off of your knowledge. If you're knowledgeable, who says you should have to take all these different steps? Why not go to exactly where you belong in the industry? If you're already a leader and a mentor, why not just get the title by passing the exam? We don't feel there needs to be anything else. If you can provide competency and you can pass an exam, who's to say that we should judge you? And so that's what we feel, and that's what option two is all about. It's all about saying, look, if this is where you currently stand, if you're an Eng or an expert, and you might say, look, I should be an expert, but so far they haven't allowed me to be one. They haven't said, yes, you can be an expert. Well, look, if you take the CFSP or CFSE, you can now surpass it. And so that's what we're looking at here. So what are the different advantages for these programs out there? So obviously mine are based around our programs, but you can apply this to ISA, you can apply it to TV Rhineland, TV SUD, any other program out there that offers a certificate program. So the advantage of getting some type of certificate program is the first thing is easy, right? Proof of competency. A lot of people a lot of managers are paying their colleagues to go to types of trainings, but they want to make sure that they retain that knowledge when they come back. And that's really what a certificate program was set up to do. It allows and provides that evidence that, hey, look, John Doe went to this training, made sure he understood he wasn't playing games on his phone, wasn't just answering emails the whole time. He was actually understanding the knowledge, came back, passed the exam, and here's my certificate providing that competency. That's a certificate program, right? So it increases your value as an employee. It differentiates yourself from your competitors if they haven't taken this training course yet. And it really shows you where your strengths and weaknesses lie. Why? Because you get to see your exam right away. You go through this, you take the exam, or at least how we operate is then when you miss your questions, if you miss anything, we'll go through each question and make sure you understand what you missed, how you missed it, and then you can go home understanding everything and knowing where you should be studying if you want to go to the next step or if you want to take a CFSP or CFSE. And of course, everybody likes adding things to their signature, so you can add exida FSP to your signature as well. You get put on a fancy website, you get a printed certificate, so it's a nice ordeal. Certification, it's all that plus more, right? So you really do start differentiating yourself from everybody else. You are looked upon as that mentor or that leader. When you hold a title like CFSE or CFSP, or even in cybersecurity, it's CACE, right? Certified Automation Cybersecurity Expert or Specialist. Now, when you start holding these titles, start expecting people to come to you asking for help. So if you're an independent consultant, these titles are like gold to you, right? Because people already know, you already went through the scrutiny and you understand how to develop a system, a functional safety system, or how to set up that SIS, or what risk reduction factor you need for this type of system. If it needs to be a SIL 2 capability, a SIL 3 capability, hey, maybe you don't need any SIL at all if you design it correct in a different way, right? And so that's what people will start doing. They'll start coming to you if you start holding these types of titles, and that's the real value there, is that mastery. So those are the two differences. If you say, hey, Ted, this sounds all well and good, but I'm really focused on machinery or automotive. The good news is that these programs have been around since the 2000s. So I mean, we've had these programs for close to 20 years now. So now there is a specialty in automotive. There's specialties in machinery process, whether you're a hardware person, software person. There's exams specifically for you. Yes, you're going to have to know some of the other stuff, right? Because we want people to be well-rounded. We don't want people to be just strictly process and not understand anything about the other areas of functional safety. So you will have to understand a little bit in the other realms. If you go to the website, which I can supply to everybody, we list all the different topics that you may expect or you might see on these exams. And when I say may, I mean it's because every exam comes from the same database, and this database randomizes every single question. So when you get an exam, you'll always have a different exam because it's always randomized. And the great thing in the standardization around this program is we actually put, oh man, I just forgot the word, like psychometrics. Let's just call it that for right now. Basically what we do is we have a statistical analysis done on every single question. So as questions are asked, every question has a history. So if 37 people took a certain question, we know how many got it right, how many got it wrong, right? And so as we go through, we start putting statistics and numbers and percentages to these questions. And so if a question gets 0%, meaning nobody gets it right, even if we think it's a great question, we throw it out. If a question's 100%, even though everybody gets it right, we throw it out. Why? Because it's too easy. And then the other spectrum is it's too hard. So what we do is we get questions where it falls between a certain range of percentages, and those are the questions that carry through on all the exams moving forward. And that's what keeps a fair exam. That's what keeps an exam at a certain difficulty, and that's standardized through every single one of our exams. And so that's one of the things that I know that we're different from everybody, and it's actually a requirement for us in the standard 17024, and that's what we abide to. Is that standard, and that standard is around personnel certification. Solution. Okay, so it's a one slider on a solution, and so here's what's going on. So make sure if you take any notes, these are the notes that you take. If you are an FSN or an expert, and you want to start a career, whether you want to be an FSP or you want to be a CFSE, CFSP, by the end of the year, we're going to allow let's just call it a streamlined or a transition process. And when I say that, I really mean that the application process, we're going to streamline that. So we'll give you the details if you send us a quick email, but essentially, because you've already gone through the application process with TUV, we're going to allow you to just submit those documents. We'll see the referees that you've already done, people approving that you should be where you are, and it's a real simple now application process for you. So we've streamlined that. We've actually reduced the exam fee, because the last thing we need to do is try and provide a solution where money now becomes an issue, right? So any expert, anybody that's providing this level of competency, we want to help you out as much as possible. So from now until the end of the year, we're going to reduce your exam fee. And actually, since everybody now has to retake all of their training, we've actually reduced the training costs as well. Why? Because we think we need a help. This is not something you were expecting to have to do, and because you now have to do it, we're going to see what we can do, and we're going to reduce the training costs. We're now going to get people access to that FSP. So if you haven't taken an exam in a while, I know, like me, it's kind of nice as a refresher to take a more simpler exam before you have to sit down for one of these expert level or professional level exams. So it's nice to take this training. The training can be done online, so that's also another bonus. And then, of course, we do grant you access to, we have hundreds of different articles, white papers, blogs, even these webinars. And we essentially give all, I kind of feel like we give all of our secrets away, but we only do it to help so that we can start working on the, like I said, the next level of safety. So for all areas of functional safety, alarm management, cybersecurity, we have so much stuff available for you at no cost. And I think that's really how the industry needs to be. We need to all help each other. And so that's the main story of this whole webinar, is we're here to help. This is our solution. And we do hope it helps everybody already. And as far as the training goes, right, because some people like training, you can see here, this is the course that I'd say 95% of the people will take. Whether you want to do it online or if you'd like to do it in person, you can see there's a plethora of dates on here. You can see one's live online at the end of this month. And then there's various places in Chicago and Italy and California and Colombia and Texas and the UK, India. You can see they're all over the world, which is really nice. So if you want that in-person experience, take a look at here. There's some on there that are already guaranteed to run. As you see, the first two have already been guaranteed. And yeah, so it's really exciting. If you want to come see us, we do have an Excellencia complimentary seminar in Norway. I know that one's filling up pretty good. We have a symposium every year. Many people aren't aware of that. This one is in Germany at the end of this month. It's mainly based around automotive. We also are going to the ISA PIC, Process Industry Conference, here at the beginning of November. And if you want to come see me, I'll be at the Rockwell show at the end of November. Well, awesome. I got a handful of questions. Thank you so much. I'll start answering those questions. If you want the latest information, we're always putting out blogs and webinars and kind of sharing as much as we can. Just follow one of these platforms and you'll most likely get all the information you need. And let's get to these questions. Thanks again. Okay, 428, perfect. First question, here we go. Can I apply and pay for the discounted rate before the year is up, then take the exam next year? I want to be able to lock in the discounted rate. Oh, wow. Yeah, very good question. Short answer is yes. I believe I will allow. Well, if you're hearing this webinar, just say Ted said yes, and I'll get it to work out. But yeah, I believe if you commit, but you can't find maybe a training, you can't find an exam date that works for you this year, or if maybe you just want to study more, yeah, by all means, we'll if you just throw in the guarantee, but by at least locking it in by paying, then yes, we'll hold true to that rate. Good question. When will the discount end? The discount will end at the end of this year, so calendar year, so 2019. Back in January, everything goes back to normal, but for all of those that are an FSN or FX expert and you want to make this transition, the end of this year, we will allow everybody. Is it important to let me see, this question here is, The question here is, what is the experience requirement to be a CFSP or CFSE? Is it the same as FSN or FS Expert? Well, if you're looking at CFSE compared to an FS Expert, it's the same. It's 10 years of work experience, but that also includes if you have any type of degree, you can kind of subtract work experience. So if you're somebody that just got out of college, you're going to want to take the CFSP, which I believe is like 3 years of experience is all you need. But with let's just say an engineering degree, it covers the work experience. So you can be fresh out of college and take the CFSP as long as you have the knowledge. We don't want to discriminate. So good question there. What is the correct roadmap for starting with a safety engineer? The correct roadmap is going to be different for the various people. What I always tell people is I always recommend take the FSP, which is essentially get the training, understand the material, see what you think is what's gonna be asked on these types of exams if you're new. For me, I'm a safety engineer, and that's the first thing I did is I took the FSE 100, which was the course that you saw here. This one right here. This is the course I took before I went any further, and it helped me tremendously. And so only from my own experience, but no, you don't need to take anything. But if you're looking for advice, I would say become an FSP and then see how well you do on that exam and ask as many questions as you can, and then figure out if you need 1, 2, or 3 months to study prior to taking the CFSP or CFSE. It is a hard exam, but it's a truly an honor when you're able to pass it. Good question. How much is the proposed solution that's going to cost me? What I'll do is I will, on this PDF that I send out to everybody, all these great questions, I'll put all the answers to them, and then I'll also put a link to the price sheet in there so that you can have the answers to the cost to everything. And I think that just makes it cleaner. Please, the webinar got to webinars tad bit late. Clarify the TV program ending. The program is not ending right now. Here is what stemmed this whole webinar is we were forwarded a bunch of messages that look like this, Michael, and essentially it said that we are aware that the validity of your FS expert certificate is expiring. Kindly be informed that a lot of problems with the functional safety experts and certificates in the past, and our management is now in discussion to either cancel these certificates or set up a new concept for FS expert certificates issued by TUV Rhineland. And it said by the end of September, this concept will be finalized, and so forth. But what we did find out is I'm not too sure what they're doing for the FS experts out there, if they're canceling, if they're revalidating people. But I do know for the FS Eng is everybody now has to retake the training. Everybody now has to retake the exam. So they kind of are starting fresh. I don't know if how they're selecting FS experts anymore. I don't know. I don't want to say anything that I don't know for sure. This is what we got, and we were getting firsthand information from some of these TV FS experts because they're wondering what they should be doing, and so that's kind of how this webinar got started. Is we want to offer a solution to all those people in this situation because it seems very there's a lot of uncertainty, to say the least. Hope that clarified your question. If not, let me go back to my email. Send me a quick email and I'll see if I can't help, or I can just keep you in the loop as well. Here's my email. How much study time should I prepare for the CFSP or CFSE? That dictates for everyone. It's different for everybody. Our standard or our average is roughly 3 months. So we like people to take the training class. Hey, look, if you study beforehand, maybe you can take the training class and then pass the exam afterwards, right? A lot of people do that. What I did is I took the training class, I didn't sit the exam, and then in 2 months' time, 2.5 months' time, I went and sat and was able to do well on the CFSP exam. And that's the route I went. So, all right. Hey, everybody. Awesome questions. Those are all the questions I received so far. If you have more, please, you got the email address in front of you. I'd be more than happy to help. This webinar will be recorded. Slides will be handed out to all those that are here, and I will create all the answers to the questions that were asked, and I'll send that personally out to you so that you have a copy. Just allow me a week or so I can get everything together. Okay? Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the day. Take care for now. Bye-bye.